Thank you. Well, first of all, thanks for Innovators for putting on an incredible event. I've gotten to use several of these. We've been partnered with them for quite a few years, and I'm extremely impressed. Looking forward to the event tonight. I'll do a quick intro of me and my company. My name is Peter Jones. I oversee all of our local offices. We have about 160 of them nationwide with all our media partners. Basically, we focus on a local scale in the streaming TV space. I should probably do a quick PSA. If you're brands or if you're with an agency that does streaming or they're buying stuff for 2024, I apologize for the political environment, but it is going to be a major disruption next year. So the three things or tactics we preach to everybody that you need to look at for next year in your strategy, one is inventory. It's going to get scarce. We saw it in the midterms. You're going to see CPMs go through the roof. So make sure you acquire a lot of inventory from multiple platforms. Don't buy just platform direct. You need to have a certain more supply pass. Your second tactic is data. First-party, third-party data, make sure you have different strategies for first-party A/B tests, suppress your first-party data when you're leveraging third-party activation campaigns. And the third thing is just make sure you're measuring it. Leverage attribution measurement to drive whatever business outcomes. If you're trying to drive more sales, if you're trying to drive more app downloads, website traffic, etc. Just make sure those are the three tactics you guys focus on. So I'll get off my soapbox now with the PSA, and I'll let Tyler introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Tyler Bahl, Head of Marketing at Activision and Call of Duty. And I hear Vegas doesn't wake up before noon, so I appreciate you all being here.
So check out the trailer. So Modern Warfare 3 launched on the 10th this month.
That's right.
They had a pretty sick display on the Spirit as well. So look for all the the ads that are coming out on that first. So this might sound crazy, but Modern Warfare 3, this is a 20-year anniversary. Any gamers in the house? I had hair when the first one came out. Okay, that was about 20 years ago, and it's very nostalgic to see it being that long. But before we jump in, Tyler's got a pretty impressive background about where he came from and what he's been. So you want to give us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, I like to say that I'm a 13-year-old kid living my dream. I started in working in music and Columbia Records. I then moved to sneakers and was a massive sneakerhead and worked at Reebok. Was into tech and went over to Google, went into entertainment at Quibi, RIP, and now I work on my favorite video game, Call of Duty. So I've kind of had the dream career, and I'm still just living all my favorites.
Okay, thanks for making the rest of us jealous. All right, so speaking of Call of Duty and building a community, 20 years when this franchise emerged. I mean, obviously they saw some great early success. I mean, we were talking about gaming consoles back then. But obviously it's expanding way beyond just gaming consoles. Now you have mobile, you have PC. Can you kind of tell us, what have been the major milestones that have kind of allowed your brand to hit, some of those incredible numbers that you were mentioning to me?
I think you got to go way back, right? I think when you think about the original Call of Duty, and then there was other tactical shooters that I used to play, like SOCOM, on PS2. That was before MySpace. That was before Facebook. And so I like to think gaming was kind of the original social network of people being able to log on, talk to each other, communicate, and kind of build from there. And so I think that was the massive catalyst. And that kind of all the way extends till today, right? Where we have more connected devices, we have mobile devices where you can play games, we have more people talking to each other. The number one reason people come to Call of Duty is not for the guns or the bullets, it's actually for the friendships. We see that in our research. It's the number one reason why people play the game, and it's also the number one reason why they leave the game. And so the connective nature of gaming is really what makes it special.
I can definitely attest to that. I'm going to date myself a little bit, but in the late 90s, I went to Georgia Tech, obviously a big engineering school in Atlanta, and our whole freshman dorm, everyone's door was open. I think the game was Half-Life back then, and everyone had their speakers, they had their headsets on, and literally our whole floor, if it was a Friday night, we would be on that. And we actually, I still had some of those guys at my wedding party, because we just had that good of a community from just playing games on a Friday night.
LAN parties, right? They used to call them stuff.
The LAN parties. We were one of the first T1 lines on campus back then. All right, so tell us just how massive, how big is this community that you guys have created?
Yeah, so Call of Duty, I think people they know the gaming franchise, they know it's a first-person shooter. It's been the number one video game for the last 15 years, and hopefully it's the number one video game for this year, making it 16 in a row. So we're really excited about that. We've sold about 450 million units worldwide. There's about 125 million people that dropped into our free-to-play game. There's about 650 million people that have downloaded Call of Duty Mobile. So when you think of scale, there's nothing in entertainment like it. And then overall, like if you think the best-selling games of all time, it's Mario, Tetris, and Pokemon, and then Call of Duty's number 4, and they definitely had a head start on us.
So how big of a country would you guys be? And I know I'm kind of going off script here, but how big of a country would you guys be with your community?
Well, I mean, it's almost like 1 in 5 adults would play Call of Duty in the US alone and stuff. If you think about the gaming population overall, you know, we'd be bigger than any country besides maybe, you know, China and India and stuff.
So when you're hitting all those different audiences, I mean, obviously I mentioned I started with gaming consoles, but then after that, what other, what I would call paradigm shift did you see from adoption of the internet, you know, in the early 2000s to, you know, to social media being launched in, you know, 2000, what's called 8, you know, and then obviously, you know, gaming online, and you have, you know, some of the other platforms that people like to watch. Like, what did you see as far as like kind of getting you guys past those big milestones or getting like that very incremental audience that's going to build that community even bigger?
Yeah, I mean, first it was connected devices, you know, the original platforms that we're talking about, and then, you know, as you know, the Xbox launched, mobile, you know, obviously became a big opportunity for us and to really scale. And then I think free to play, right? So, you know, now you don't have to necessarily buy, you know, a premium game. You can drop in and have a Call of Duty experience via Warzone for free, and so that kind of really allowed us to scale even more and monetize off of MTX. So that's a big part of the proposition.
Okay, and then so let's talk about the community. So I mean, we did a quick poll. There's some people in here that are gamers. It's not just kids anymore. You said 1 in 5 adults. Like, so where do you see, you know, what's that distribution of users that you see?
Well, I've been playing Call of Duty more years of my life than not, and I think the change in the last game, when you get to that scale, it's not just one individual or one demographic that we can reach out to. Instead, it's many demographics, and so we have to be able to kind of think about diversity and who our player is. Everyone is a gamer. Like, I love to ask this question to people all the time. It's like, oh, do you play video games? And they're like, no, I don't play. Do you play Candy Crush on your phone? Yes, I do. And so,
how many Candy Crush players in here? Oh, no. You guys just, I think.
Or if you play Sudoku on your phone, you're a gamer and stuff, right? Like, I mean, like, you have to redefine what gaming actually means, and then you have to think about the gaming community, right? So there's actually, you know, more people actually watching people play video games than actually playing the video games, right? On YouTube and Twitch, or experiencing it via trailer or other piece of content on social media. So the gaming community is not just about the person on the sticks, right? When I was a kid, I hated watching people play video games, right? Like, that was the worst. My brother, I just wanted to give me that controller right away and stuff. And now, you know, you'll see a young user that will watch 3.5 hours of video game a week and maybe watch it more than they actually play.
I was definitely the one fighting over the remote when I was a kid. I didn't want to watch, but I mean that's amazing that you've reached, you know, a separate audience. So tell us about what have been some of the new kind of innovative ways that you're reaching with, you know, with new audiences from influencers and celebrities or other like ideas that you've done to kind of keep building on your audience.
Well, Call of Duty's always had a history of doing kind of a big live action commercial with the biggest names and celebrities, everyone from Kobe to Robert Downey Jr., you know, these classic commercials. So celebrity is still part of it. We just did a new live action spot with, you know, Devin Booker was in there, Central C, who's a rapper out of the UK, and 21 Savage, and so that's still part of the ethos. But the bigger innovation, at least for me, or what I get excited about, is this program that we built last year called Tastemakers, right? And so we actually look at the community and we go, okay, we know our community is really diverse, like how do we kind of leverage that? And we found a nail technician, right, who painted Task Force 141 on her nails, so our iconic characters. We had a sand artist and stuff who created some art out of our character Ghost. We had a rug maker who made Task Force 141 a rug for her apartment. And then we had a UV tattoo artist out of Australia who did our actual cover art on someone's leg and stuff. So we put this content out, and what it does is, like, if you think about it, one, it shows how diverse our community is. Two, we reach new communities, which is their community. And three, this content on our channels actually does better than some of our gameplay on average and stuff. So it's interesting, it's built out of the community. And so I think that allows us to kind of tell a different story about who a Call of Duty player is.
And awesome job you guys for adopting to how consumer behavior and how they're, whether watching or playing the game, and you guys are obviously covering every position. So, we heard a gentleman say earlier about, I'm going to misrepresent it, but, he was saying just about seeing people on Twitch or on YouTube. Like, what do you see as far as, what percent does that account for your users, and then where do you see, like, the next big emerging platform that's going to create an additional audience?
Well, I think for us, from a reach perspective, the influencers or the streamers that are on Twitch and YouTube are the heroes and the celebrities for a younger generation. So we have to do everything we can to make sure that they're happy, that we're creating content for them, that we're enabling them ways for them to make money, off of the product. And so thinking about how do we foster that community is really core to what we do every day, and because they are kind of the biggest evangelists for our brands. I think as we think about reach and where we go from expansion, it's really about mobile, right? Warzone Mobile is going to be launching early next year. This takes our free-to-play game that we currently have, and there'll be cross-progression into this Warzone Mobile experience. There'll be different games, but they will be connected, and people will be able to be on the go, play the game, rank up, and then when they go back to their console, they'll be able to kind of continue, their progression. And so that's going to be a big unlock for us because there are definitely more mobile devices than there are consoles and PCs in the world. And the fidelity on what we call glass, right? If we want to make the best first-person shooter on glass, we think that that's going to be, as good or better in the future, than some of the consoles and stuff. And so that could be the bigger opportunity long term.
And sorry, forgive me for asking questions, not we're on mobile. So is the gameplay the same?
Gameplay is the same, yeah.
But I'd rather see it on the big screen, though.
you may want to see it on a big screen, but there's a lot of people that would rather just be able to be on the go or play in bed or not necessarily have a big screen in front of them or don't have access to a big screen.
I have 2 daughters, and we have, whatever, a 70-inch TV in our living room, and we'll put on whatever Disney movie, but yet they're still on their little tablets watching another show. So just a different generation. All right, so what can you tell us? I mean, obviously, incredible community that you guys have built over the last 20 years. Can you give us a preview or maybe a teaser, like what's next? And I'm not talking, obviously you just had your release Modern Warfare 3, but 12 months, maybe 24 months. What do you think might be the next big thing for you guys?
Well, I can't give any spoilers here, but I think, we just launched Modern Warfare 3, and so we're still kind of really excited about that and pushing that to the end of the year. But in December, we're going to be launching Season 1, and so we're bringing a brand new, what we call a big map, right, for Warzone. And the map's called Urzikstan, and we're really, really excited about this new map and this free-to-play experience that we're going to bring. And then I already mentioned Warzone Mobile, so that'll be probably the biggest news going into next year, coming in the spring. And that's just going to be a bigger opportunity. We're already planning for the future. We're always working 1, 2, 3 years in advance and stuff, so we have a long-range plan, but I can't really share too much right now.
But maybe you should create different age segments, because I have a buddy that just keeps getting killed by all these 10-year-old kids, and some of us older adults take a little bit longer to adopt to some of these games.
I love that, because people say all the time, they're like, I drop into play Call of Duty, it's too hard now, or I just get killed, or I don't know how to open my parachute, and I just crash in my first landing and stuff. And so there's so many different ways to play Call of Duty that people don't know, and that's the other misconception about it. It's like, is it just multiplayer? Is it just kind of getting into an MP match? And it's not. My favorite mode, I get a lot of crap for it internally and stuff, is Plunder and stuff. Plunder is a mode where you can run in, you can collect cash. You don't have to kill anybody. If you can be really sneaky and just collect as much cash as you can in a certain amount of time, and then you exfil out, you win and stuff, right? And so it's strategic, it's smart. I have fun with my buddies, it's a little bit low stress and stuff. And yes, you can take out some people along the way, but I think that's a different mode. The other thing is zombies, right? Like, so we have a zombies mode that's been part of the franchise for so long. That's our casual players love that, and our hardcore players love that. But I think anybody can appreciate just coming in and killing some zombies, and it ends up being a more casual, friendly experience. And I just encourage anybody to go just don't just drop right into the, the hardcore match and stuff, or hardcore mode that we have. I would say like explore some of the other modes, and I think it's a little bit more accessible.
Awesome. Well, I'll definitely try some of those and hopefully download Modern Warfare 3 as soon as I get home. So get to another title, big question. I'm going to do a little bit of rapid fire questions just to kind of lighten the mood, and then we'll take some any additional questions from the audience. All right, so first one, favorite game growing up, video game.
Ooh, so I know this is rapid fire, but I won a video game tournament. Do you remember the movie The Wiz?
Yeah,
Fred Savage. Fred Savage. He breaks his brother out of a mental hospital. They drive across the country into California to enter Super Mario 3 and stuff to play Super Mario 3. So I was in love with this movie. And my local mall had a video game contest, and it was for Disney's Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers on NES. And I did a speed run through it, beat it, won the championship, took a photo with a guy that, I have the photo, I don't know who the guy is. So I don't know if it's my favorite game, but it's the one I truly remember the experience, and I had my Fred Savage moment.
That's awesome. Back in the day when there was only 2 buttons on the remote control, and it was a lot easier to play those games. You would jump or run. I enjoyed the old Nintendo days. Okay, back to the questions. Okay, favorite artist?
Ooh, I've been to more probably Jay-Z concerts than I care to tell everybody here and stuff, so maybe 6 or 7 and stuff, so I'd probably put him, and I'm talking about, I saw Jay-Z open up for Nas, who opened up for Busta, who opened up for Biggie and Diddy and stuff. So, that was early days Jay-Z, Reasonable Doubt, and I still love him to this day.
Jay-Z's awesome, and a quick story, back when I was, again, in college, bartending, I actually got to serve drinks to Jay-Z and Beyonce when they first started dating. All right, favorite sneaker?
Okay, so I got some Jordans on. Big sneakerhead, but when I was growing up, everyone loved Jordan, and I was like the rebel, so I was an AI fan. I loved Allen Iverson, so the questions hold a special place in my heart, the Reebok questions, and I still have like a prestige pair, at home.
Oh, there you go. Did you have the Reebok pumps? The pumps back then?
The pumps, yeah, I had the Insta pumps too, with the little compressor, yeah.
All right, favorite drink?
Favorite drink, this is probably cold brew or coffee and stuff, but I had to pick an alcoholic drink. Probably a Ramos Gin Fizz. It's from New Orleans. You need a special machine to make it. If you can ever see it on the menu, definitely order it.
Well, we'll as soon as the bar opens, we'll see if they got it. All right, and last one. Favorite thing you're looking for at the race or tonight?
I'm just excited about the spectacle. I mean, if you walk out there right now, you'll see our giant billboard. We took over the Sphere last week. We, had Lando in our advertisement last year, and we had McLaren, as well, doing wheelies in the spot and stuff. So we've been really excited about F1 and this Vegas race for a long time now. So I think the spectacle of it all, even seeing the stripes on the side being the cars and stuff, I think is really going to be cool. And we're just excited to be here and kind of be part of this moment.
Awesome. Well, Tyler, I appreciate it. So we do have a couple more minutes left. Any questions from the audience?
Hey, Simon from Iris. Firstly, big Call of Duty fan. I'm probably not brave enough to drop my KD ratio in the room, but you talked about tastemakers earlier and creators. How much are you seeing your kind of traditional marketing mix and your spend shift to streamers and creators and tastemakers more than traditional channels? Is that something that's changing? Do you see it taking over some of the more traditional spend?
It's massively changed, right? I mean, like, outside of F1 and the NFL, maybe WWE and NBA, like that's our big push, especially in the US on TV. But outside of that, we don't run a lot of linear anymore the way that we used to. And everyone's moved to digital, but we've kind of tripled down from a streamer standpoint and advertising on Twitch and on YouTube. TikTok has obviously taken off. Supposedly, we're the #1 video game on TikTok, and they see that in their stats, and that's what they shared with us. And so, how do we leverage that in the future? I think it's not just us posting gameplay over and over and over again, because a lot of the time it starts to look the same. So we have to come up with creative ways to, one, make that gameplay look dramatically different. But I think these community stories, right, that people, I show a video and, the time you meet your friend for the first time that you've been playing with for the 10 years, you've seen these stories on like ESPN and things like that. I play with a group of guys every Friday night, AJ, Sagador, Baba Yaga, I have no idea who they are, and maybe I'm exposing them right now, but they're my squad, right? And they're my friends. I've been playing with them 3 or 4 years now and stuff, and we party up every night. So I think telling those more emotional stories, I think actually connects more with the community and connects more with our users than for us to just show another gameplay trailer. We still got to make gameplay trailers. They're going to be awesome. They're going to have a great song with them. But I think some of these more emotional connections, and listen, our users are getting older, and we also have to think about how are we getting younger as a brand, and so how are we tapping into the next generation.
Hi, I'm Baba Yaga. Good to meet you, Fred.
Hey, it's good to see you, Baba.
Good to finally see you in person. No, I'm Dan from Iris. And I hate to be kind of vulgar in conversation here, but Kyler Murray, the Arizona Cardinals quarterback, is famously distracted by the game, and it's enough where people literally bet against this player when there is a new Call of Duty launch. Is there a world in which you could lean into that and maybe even without his permission use him to show sort of obsession around Call of Duty?
Yeah, I mean, we love that he plays. Just for context, people could go in and they looked up his KDs and how many he's playing and streaming, and then comparing them when he actually played a game. And there was a correlation there that I don't know if it's been proven and stuff. But on the same time, you have Mahomes and you have Kelsey and Juju, right? Like you have the whole Kansas City team has credited Call of Duty as one of the reasons they won the Super Bowl, because they actually dropped in together. The coordination of talking to each other, has helped. And this is all out there. This is not something we planted and stuff, right? And so I think that you can see that there is value to playing together in the game. And so we do love those stories more, I'd say, than the Kyle story, where people are kind of building these friendships, building relationships, but also maybe improving their game, off the field, and leading to on-field wins. So it's cool.
So I think the big takeaway there is, if in your company, if you guys, allocate some time during the day to play Call of Duty with your teams, you'll be more productive and more efficient, and you'll win Super Bowls.
It's possible. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, maybe Kyle should get all his teammates in there and play together and see if they can kind of improve their on-field wins.
Wasn't there an episode of The Office where they were doing that?
I don't know. Was it? Yeah.
The Office?
Yeah. Where they're all playing together?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Anyone else see that? The Office when they were playing? Okay. We can talk about that offline. Any other questions?
Hey, I'm Brian from Overtime. When you finished your first question, you mentioned about your gaming audience starting a little bit older and you're thinking about the newer generations. And I've been familiar with some of your programs from the NFL, what you're doing here, like so many dynamic things that Call of Duty and Activision have done through the years. Is there anything on your radar right now from a merging standpoint where you're thinking about what's next, what's going to be some of your new footprint going forward for that generation?
Yeah, I mean, it's always a struggle. I think, the tastes change over time, like what people want to experience. I think a lot of it is happening inside of the game where we can, I mentioned some of the new modes that we're creating. And so we're always trying to create different ways to be accessible. I think also the player fantasy experience, like we strive to be the most authentic military simulator. And that's always been part of, Call of Duty's DNA. But at the same time, people want to play as Nicki Minaj. And so, being able to sign Nicki Minaj, put her in the game, and we're kind of, as a marketer, you're balancing this kind of frustration, right? Like, I played all these years of my life and I want it to be this way. And then all of a sudden we have Skeletor from He-Man in the game and stuff, right? And so a lot of what we're doing is, thinking about culture, thinking about what the player universe wants and stuff, and how these younger users, are embracing the fantasy of the game. And like I said before, like, they don't necessarily come because it's a military simulator. They're actually coming because they're having fun with their friends. And we think about it that way, then we need to figure out ways that we can kind of encourage this, and put the things that they want from an IP standpoint, also from a game mode standpoint, and make it more accessible to them. I think as we're thinking, as a marketer, thinking about like different platforms that we're on, we're always, TikTok has been, the biggest driver of that and us reaching a younger audience. So we're obviously investing a lot of money there and trying to think about new creative ways. We have dedicated agencies just to create crazy TikTok ideas and to throw spaghetti on the wall and stuff. And so that's kind of the biggest growth vehicle for a younger generation. And then I think obviously, we'll look at new platforms as they emerge, like whether it's consoles or other places that we can expand the audience.
Cool. I actually did not know about Skeletor. I'm gonna check that out.
Skeletor from He-Man just launched. We just had Lilith from Diablo. If you're an Evil Dead fan, Ash is in the game now and stuff. So I mean, I think that's also. It's funny because if you read on our Instagram account the comments and like, why are you doing this, right? And then we look at the stats in game, and it's like everyone is buying them, everybody's using them, everyone is playing with them and stuff. So there's a vocal minority, but I think what players really want is just to have fun at the end of the day. And so the more that we can bring 21 Savage into the game, or we can think about we're launching a new partnership with Dune, the second movie, and we're bringing all the characters from there into the game. I think that's a big opportunity.
Thank you.
All right, awesome spot. Any other questions before we wrap, before the break? All right, well, I appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.